Hello and welcome back to our channel where we focus on living a healthy and vibrant life as we age. Today, we are going to discuss a topic that is very near and dear to my heart because it affects so many people in our community. We are going to talk about high blood sugar and two incredibly powerful foods that have been shown to help lower it naturally and quickly. High blood sugar is often called a silent problem because you might walk around with it for years without knowing until you start feeling very tired or thirsty. When you have too much sugar in your blood for a long time, it acts like slow-moving traffic that clogs up your highways and prevents delivery trucks from reaching their destinations. This can lead to problems with your eyes and your kidneys, and especially the feeling in your feet, which many of you might know as neuropathy. We want to clear that traffic jam and get your blood flowing smoothly again, so you can have the energy to play with your grandchildren or tend to your garden. Before we dive into the details of these two amazing foods, I have a very simple question for you to answer. When you woke up this morning and went to the kitchen, did you drink a full glass of plain water before you had your coffee or tea? Please leave a comment below telling me if you managed to drink your water or if you forgot, because hydration is the first step to good health. Now let us look at the first food on our list, which is a vegetable that has been used for centuries in traditional medicine. This vegetable is called bitter melon, and while the name might sound unappealing, it is actually a miracle worker for your blood sugar levels. Bitter melon looks a little bit like a cucumber, but it has a very bumpy and warty skin, and it is quite popular in Asian cooking. The reason this vegetable is so effective is that it contains 3 active substances with anti-diabetic properties, including charantin, which has been confirmed to have a blood glucose lowering effect. It also contains an insulin-like compound known as polypeptide P, which functions very similarly to the insulin your body produces naturally. Think of insulin as a key that unlocks the door to your cells to let sugar in for energy. And this vegetable provides spare keys when you have lost yours. When you eat bitter melon, it helps move glucose from your blood into your cells, where it belongs, instead of letting it float around and cause damage. Some studies have shown that the compounds in this vegetable can help reduce blood sugar levels, just as effectively as some common pharmaceutical medications. However, you must be careful with the amount you consume because it is very potent and powerful. A typical recommended amount, if you are taking it as a supplement extract, is often around 2,000 milligrams per day, but that number can be confusing. To give you a better idea of what that looks like in real food, eating 1 small cup of chopped fresh bitter melon is roughly equivalent to that dosage. If you were to hold a small teacup in your hand and fill it with green slices, that is the amount we are aiming for to see benefits. Many people are afraid to try it because of the bitter taste, but there are ways to prepare it that make it much more enjoyable to eat. One popular method is to slice the melon in half and remove the white seeds and pith from the inside using a spoon. You can then slice it thinly and sprinkle it with a little bit of salt and let it sit for 20 minutes to draw out the strong bitterness. After 20 minutes, you rinse the slices under cold water and they are ready to be cooked in a stir-fry with some eggs or tofu. If you absolutely cannot handle the taste, you can also find it as a tea, which is often mixed with other herbs, to make it smoother to drink. It is important to note that if you are already taking medicine to lower your sugar, you must talk to your doctor before adding this, because it works so well your sugar might drop too low. Moving on to the second food on our list, we have a spice that is likely sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now. This wonderful spice is cinnamon, but we need to be very specific about which type of cinnamon we are using for health benefits. There are 2 main types of cinnamon in the world, and the most common one you find in the supermarket is called cassia cinnamon. Cassia cinnamon is cheap and smells strong, but it contains a compound called coumarin, which can be harmful to your liver if you eat too much of it. The type of cinnamon we want for lowering blood sugar is called Ceylon cinnamon, which is often referred to as true cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon comes from the inner bark of a tree native to Sri Lanka, and it has a much milder and sweeter flavor than the common type. This spice works by imitating the effects of insulin and increasing glucose transport into cells, so your body can use the sugar for fuel. It also helps by slowing down the speed at which your stomach empties after you eat a meal. Imagine that your stomach is a hopper feeding coal into a furnace, and cinnamon acts as a regulator to make sure the coal goes in slowly and steadily rather than all at once. This prevents those sharp spikes in blood sugar that happen right after you eat a heavy meal of bread or rice. Research has shown that consuming just a small amount of Ceylon cinnamon daily can reduce fasting blood sugar by a significant percentage. The recommended daily amount to see these positive effects is roughly 1 to 6 grams, depending on your body weight and needs. To help you visualize this, 1 gram of cinnamon is roughly equal to half of a standard teaspoon that you would use to stir your coffee. So we are talking about consuming somewhere between half a teaspoon to 3 teaspoons spread throughout the whole day. You do not need to take a huge spoonful at once because that can be very difficult to swallow and might make you cough. Instead, you can sprinkle half a teaspoon over your morning oatmeal or mix it into a cup of warm herbal tea. Another excellent way to use it is to add a teaspoon to your morning smoothie if you like to blend fruits and vegetables. It is fascinating to think that something so delicious and simple can have such a profound effect on our body chemistry. Now that we have identified bitter melon and Ceylon cinnamon as our 2 power foods, we need to discuss how to incorporate them into a lifestyle. You cannot simply eat these 2 foods and then continue to eat cake and cookies and expect your blood sugar to vanish. These foods are tools that assist your body, but they need a solid foundation of a healthy diet to work their best magic. We need to talk about the importance of fiber, because fiber is the best friend of blood sugar management. Fiber is the indigestible part of plants that acts like a sponge in your digestive system, slowing down the absorption of sugar. When you eat an orange, the fiber in the fruit makes sure the sugar enters your blood slowly. But when you drink orange juice, you have removed the fiber and the sugar rushes in. You should aim to fill half of your dinner plate with green leafy vegetables like spinach or broccoli or green beans. If we want to quantify the amount of vegetables you should eat, imagine 2 of your own fists placed side by side on the plate. That volume of green vegetables provides enough fiber to help buffer the sugar from the rest of your meal. Another important factor is the timing of when you eat these beneficial foods we discussed earlier. For the bitter melon, it is often best to eat it as part of your main meal because it works directly on the food you are digesting. For the cinnamon, you can have it in the morning to set a good tone for the day or have it with your starchiest meal. I also want to touch upon the importance of movement because muscles are the biggest consumers of sugar in your body. You do not need to run a marathon or lift heavy weights at the gym to see a benefit in your blood sugar readings. A simple 20-minute walk after your dinner can significantly lower your blood sugar levels compared to sitting on the couch. Think of your muscles as engines, and when you walk, you are revving the engine to burn off the fuel in your tank. Now let us go back to the bitter melon for a moment, because I want to share a traditional tea recipe that is very effective. You can buy dried slices of bitter melon at many Asian grocery stores or health food markets, which makes it convenient to store. Take about 3 or 4 dried slices, which is roughly the same weight as 2 tea bags, and place them in a large mug. Pour boiling water over the slices and cover the mug with a small saucer to keep the steam and the oils inside. Let it steep for about 10 to 15 minutes until the water turns a pale yellow or green color. You can drink this tea once a day, preferably in the morning or before a heavy meal to help prepare your body. If the taste is too strong, you can add a slice of lemon or a few drops of monk fruit sweetener, which does not raise blood sugar. Now let us return to the topic of Ceylon cinnamon and how to tell if you are buying the right kind. When you look at a stick of Ceylon cinnamon, it looks like a tight cigar with many thin layers of bark rolled together. The common cassia cinnamon usually looks like a thick piece of hard bark with only one curled layer, and it is very difficult to break. Ceylon cinnamon is soft and fragile, and you can easily grind it into powder using a simple coffee grinder at home. This is important because the freshness of the spice can impact how potent the active compounds are for your health. If you have a jar of cinnamon in your pantry that has been there for 5 years, it might have lost much of its healing power. I recommend buying whole sticks and grinding a small amount fresh every week, or buying small bags of powder more frequently. Let us combine these concepts into a sample day of eating to see how it all fits together simply. For breakfast, you might have a bowl of steel-cut oats, which are better than instant oats because they digest slower. You sprinkle your half teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon right on top of the oats, along with some walnuts for healthy fat. For lunch, you have a nice salad with some grilled chicken and perhaps a small apple for dessert. For dinner, You prepare a stir-fry using the bitter melon slices we discussed earlier, along with some onions and garlic, and a protein like shrimp or tofu. This day of eating provides the medicine from the foods along with the fiber and protein your body needs to stay stable. It is also very important to mention that stress can cause your blood sugar to rise, even if you have not eaten any food. When you are stressed, your body produces a hormone called cortisol, which tells your liver to dump sugar into your blood for energy. This is a survival mechanism from ancient times when we needed energy to run away from predators, but today we are just stressed about bills or traffic. Finding ways to relax, such as deep breathing or reading a book or listening to calming music, is actually part of blood sugar management. I want to remind you that changes in your health do not happen overnight, and patience is required. It might take a few weeks of consistently eating bitter melon and cinnamon before you see a permanent shift in your numbers. You should think of this as a gardening project where you water the plants every day and eventually you see the flowers bloom. Also, it is vital to stay hydrated because when you are dehydrated, your blood becomes more concentrated and sugar levels rise. Aim for about 8 glasses of water a day, which is roughly equivalent to filling a standard water bottle 4 times. If you struggle to drink plain water, you can infuse it with slices of cucumber or strawberries to make it more palatable. Let us discuss a little more about the safety precautions because your safety is my #1 priority. If you have low blood sugar, which is called hypoglycemia, you must be very careful with bitter melon. Symptoms of low blood sugar include shaking and sweating and feeling dizzy or confused and needing to sit down. If you feel this way after eating these foods, you should stop immediately and eat a small piece of fruit to recover. Always start with a small amount, like just a pinch of cinnamon or a few slices of melon, to see how your body reacts. Everyone is different, and what works for your neighbor might be too strong or too weak for you. Now, I want to address a common myth that eating these foods means you can stop taking your prescribed medication. That is absolutely not true, and you should never stop your medication without the direct supervision of your doctor. These foods are meant to be a complementary therapy, which means they work alongside your current treatment plan. Imagine your medication is the main support beam of a house, and these foods are the extra pillars that make it stronger. If you remove the main beam, the house might fall down, so keep the beam until the architect says it is safe to remove. We have covered a lot of information today, and I know it can feel a little bit overwhelming to remember it all. Just remember, the 2 main stars of the show are bitter melon for its insulin-like properties and Ceylon cinnamon for sensitivity. If you can find a way to add just one of these to your routine this week, you are making a huge step forward. Perhaps next week you can try to add the second one or focus on drinking more water. Health is built one small brick at a time, and you should be proud of yourself for taking the time to learn today. I truly believe that our bodies have an amazing capacity to heal and balance themselves when we give them the right materials. Nature has provided us with these incredible plants, and it is up to us to use them wisely and respectfully. As we come to the end of our discussion, I want to leave you with one final thought about consistency. It is better to have a small amount of healthy food every single day than to have a huge amount once a month. Consistency tells your body that it is safe and that it can rely on a steady supply of good nutrients. So I encourage you to go to the grocery store this week and look for these items in the produce and spice aisles. Experiment with them in your kitchen and find the recipes that make your taste buds happy as well as your body. Cooking healthy food can be a joyful adventure, rather than a chore if you approach it with curiosity. I hope this video has been helpful and has given you some practical tools to take control of your health. If you found this information useful, please consider subscribing to our channel so you do not miss our future videos. Clicking the subscribe button is free, and it helps us continue to do the research to bring you these educational topics. Always consult with your primary care physician before making any significant changes to your diet or supplement routine. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I wish you excellent health and happiness. Goodbye for now.